Shabbat shalom, everyone. We've just read some lovely Torah and Haftorah, and now I'm going to confess something and kvetch a little bit, if you'll let me kvetch. Please. One of my biggest pet peeves in all of storytelling is the trope of the deathbed blessing. And it is definitely a trope. It's deeply embedded in our books, our theater, our television shows, our movies. It's everywhere. It takes different forms, of course, but the model is pretty consistent. A character reaching the end of their life is lying in their bed and gestures for someone or someones to come near for some dramatic revelation or confession. And then with this last weight finally lifted from their chest, they take their last breath. It's the primary clue in myriad mystery novels. It's the denouement, we used that word twice this morning, denouement of countless novels and movies. I mean, it's the entire plot line for Citizen Kane. And we happen to have it in our Parashat twice this morning with Yaakov and with Yosef. And then we add another one for our Haftorah with David Melech, with King David. Who all of these, the three of which, on their deathbed, call forth their family to offer blessings and prophecies for the journeys to come, setting the stage for what comes next, for the next book of our Torah, or for Shlomo Melech to take over and to start his kingship. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not so jaded or bitter to dismiss these moments as cliche or lazy. I, too, get emotional watching these moments or reading these moments. They're beautiful. But they bother me a little bit because I think we internalize them and we put them into our minds that we too, that all of us are going to be allowed this beautiful moment with the people that we love. For the record, I pray that all of us do. I pray that we all get that moment. But I have been at enough bedsides as a rabbi, and especially during my time in hospice chaplaincy, to know that the overwhelming majority of final moments are very different than how we portray them. And I don't need to get descriptive here because I know, looking out in this room, I know that many of you have been there. You know what I mean. And for those of you who were able to have a moment like in the books and in the movies, I also know that you recognize just how incredibly rare and special that is. Yet somehow we still propagate this trope, this idea of the deathbed confession or the deathbed blessing, and we romanticize it. We sloganize people's alleged last words. Sorry to be a wet blanket here, but many of those are misquoted or completely made up. We ready ourselves for some expected closure or peace. And here's the real ikar, the real essence, the real takeaway here. We hold on to so much, assuming that the appropriate time will come to share it with the people that we love. But when we do that, when we collect our materials for the moment, we take Jacob and Joseph, we take Charles Foster Kane, or Joseph Trumpeldor, or Bilbo Baggins, or that old lady from Titanic. And we forget about the 99.9% of words that were never said, relationships that were never healed, tears and embraces that were never offered. The fires in Los Angeles this past week have had me thinking about this a lot for these last few days, as have several deaths in our synagogue community these last weeks where I made visits without realizing that they were the last time that I was going to see this person, these members of our family. And these are reminders to me that while our tradition offers us Jacob and Joseph, while our tradition offers us King David, the rabbis of the Talmud, the real molders and builders of our temple identity, our post-temple identity, are far more concerned with life's fragility and unknowability. And there is real beautiful Torah here, because the takeaway from the rabbis, the argument that the rabbis make in the Talmud, is that the final moments of life should be, at least when it comes to our relationships, pretty unremarkable. I mean, in the Gemara, the rabbis are talking about this moment as a time to make sure everyone is clear on property lines and inheritance distributions. That's what that moment is for, according to the rabbis. Which could tell us that the rabbis are really obsessed with property lines and inheritance distributions, which they might be. They are obsessed about a lot of legal minutia. But the better read, and I think what's actually going on here, is that the rabbis are very intentionally advocating for sharing those big moments, those big feelings, those words of love and healing and gratitude and appreciation with the people that matter in our lives, not in the dramatic moment of life's end, but right now. Right now. Not on our deathbeds. Not at some big simcha or family dinner. Not at Yom Kippur. Not because there is built-in time for such an expression. Stop. Because right here, right now. Because we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. We don't know what's going to happen next year, or in the next few months, or tomorrow. We don't know. But what we do know is that right now, we are here together, and we are breathing, and we have so much in our hearts, so much to say, to express. We have wounds that need to heal. We have love that deserves to be shared. And we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to the people that we love to break free from the movie script and to recognize that there is no best time to share our souls. There's just time. And every day that goes by, there's a little less of it. Now, please don't take this as doom and gloom despair, because that's not what I'm going for here. Just as we shouldn't be collecting our thoughts and emotions for some to-be-determined date, we also shouldn't be worrying ourselves with the anxiety that comes from the unknown. I know that's hard. We as Jews are very anxious people. That comes built into this. But the message, rather, is that we deserve to spend our days living. Living. With all of the beauty, with the challenge, with the struggle, with the incredible range of feelings that exists in the here and the now. We deserve to live unburdened by the romanticizing of climactic moments. We deserve to live what the great novelist Milan Kundera called the unbearable lightness of being. To live so that our final moments, at least when it comes to our relationships with those we love, are rather unremarkable. Because we've said what needs to be said. We've loved the way that we need to love. And then we can kibitz about property lines and inheritance distribution. I love the stories about our patriarchs. But not every aspect of every story, even in our Torah, deserves emulation. Because life is so much better when we share our blessings now. Right now. When we can live with them as part of us, and we get to hold on to them and make them part of our everyday. So my friends, on this Shabbat morning, if you hear anything I say, hear this. I love you. I'm so thankful that you're in my life. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine on you and be gracious unto you. May God look upon you with favor and grant you peace. Amen.